The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
If you really want to doge, this is how you doge. You don't vote for bad legislation that expands government. Thank you.
Now we're talking about taxpayer money, and we're talking about accountability. It is their money. This isn't a government program we're actually spending on. We're actually giving it back to the people of Idaho.
There's other options for making our ballots more secure, such as using watermarks or putting holograms on the ballots.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
I asked the question rhetorically, if we gave them another $1 billion, they wouldn't be happy. Well, we've given them $2 more billion, and it's not enough.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
Other states like Texas and Florida have enacted similar laws to address illegal immigration, both locally and in their communities. And Idaho has the right to protect itself when the federal government has failed to do that.
COVID presented us with quite the enigma. We didn't really know what it was or what to do, but that is no excuse to violate the rights of the citizens of the state of Idaho.
I say vote no on this and let the teachers teach and quit bringing in coaches to teach the teachers to teach, and let's get education going again in Idaho.
I don't know what's coming after this current administration for the feds, and we need this law because our federal laws on immigration have failed.
Mr. President, I think it's incumbent upon us to allow parents to use their hard-earned dollars to provide what's best for their children.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
My concern is that the resilience of Idahoans who believe in self-reliance and self-responsibility will be eroded.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
Yeah, watch it.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Idaho Signal. We are live on the air. It is March 4, 2026. That's Idaho Day here in Idaho. Apparently on the House floor right now, they are going through some festivities on Idaho Day, reading some proclamations. We had some young folks in there singing and so forth. So that's going to go on for a little bit while today. But while they're busy not being busy, we're going to get busy here because yesterday during a committee hearing, House Bill 764 went down in a 9-7 vote, and House Bill 764 would deal with concealing, harboring, and shielding illegal aliens in the state of Idaho. And as you are aware, illegal immigration and having the states step up to the plate to take care of these. Take care of this issue, especially here in Idaho, is a big deal. We've been following a bunch of different bills. Of course, we have this call out right now for House Bill 700 and House Bill 704. This deals with E-Verify and as well as penalizing employers who knowingly hire illegal aliens. We ask that you head over to our social media platforms and channels over there to email the Senate State Affairs Committee to hold a hearing on those two bills that are now over in that committee. The QR code up there will open up your email client and it will compose an email and help you send off the message to that committee. So yesterday, we were in the House Judiciary and Rules Committee. Representative Dale Hawkins and Idaho's own Theo Wold were presenting this bill on concealing and harboring and shielding aliens. This bill would have added a new chapter to Idaho law, and I kind of want to go through it a little bit with you, just to get you up to speed, in case you missed out on watching the debate live yesterday, or if this is your first time hearing about it. basically what this does is it establishes a prohibition. It shall be unlawful for any organization or any director, officer, or agent thereof in this state to do any of the following. And number one here is conceal, harbor, or shield from detection, an attempt to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection, or conspire to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection an illegal alien in any place in this state. What this is meant to do here is to go after and have a mechanism here to go after organizations that are basically part of this human trafficking system where they are bringing illegals into the state, into this country, and specifically here into this state, and doing so knowingly. It's not just there are a bunch of NGOs out there, a bunch of organizations, charitable organizations, usually under some sort of religious guise that helps migrants and helps immigrants and helps the less fortunate and those refugees and people escaping all sorts of things across the world. But there are folks who are coming here illegally that shouldn't be here that we're trying to get rid of because they're a strain on our resource. I don't need to remind you of all of that over and over and over again. You know what we're trying to do here. So this here would make it a crime to knowingly harbor illegal aliens, especially if you are an organization that deals in this area. So the bill's pretty simple. It has definitions for what an alien is, has definitions for what an organization is, and then it goes on to prohibit, like I said, conceal, harbor, or shield from detection any illegal alien in any place in the state. It also prohibits encouraging or promoting or coercing or inducing an alien to come to this state illegally. And we've seen that during the 4 years of Biden, where people were out there helping and trying to. Didn't they have an app? I mean, that was our government was doing it. Didn't it have an app that was telling, enabling you to help come to this country? The other thing you can't do is transport, attempt to transport, or conspire to transport. I mean, this is all basic stuff here that all has to be laid out in the law. And then the penalties. The penalties kick in on page 2. And because we need to have penalties in here, and so those penalties are laid out, and then there were some exceptions on the final page. It's of a 3-page bill. The exceptions were any law enforcement agency and its officers, employees, and staff operating in their official capacity who is transporting and doing such with illegals. Pretty much of a no-brainer, right? Well. It didn't seem to be a no-brainer to some of the typical progressive Republicans in here. But before we get to that, let's have Representative Hawkins and Theowold. There was over an hour and a half, I believe, hearing on this particular bill, and there was the cavalcade of testifiers that came through testifying for and against. And by the end of the testimony, Representative Hawkins even said, look, we're willing to send this bill to the amending order, to general orders, in order to fix a couple of the problems that the sheriff's department had brought up. And just to make sure that they don't get caught up in any of this. And so they were willing to send it to general orders in order to do that. But at the very least, it was there was no reason to not have this bill move forward in the process. Let's watch Representative Hawkins and Theowold close out the argument for House Bill 764.
This does. It says if you're knowingly, willfully harboring, transporting, and helping this process to bring people into this country by not illegal means, that you're already breaking the law, and we want to cooperate with federal law. We want to cooperate with the current administration and help that. And I think that one of the testifiers said, this is probably some of the greatest help we can give to these people. Because nobody, and when I say these people, I'm not talking about Hispanics. I'm not talking about Europeans. We have 100 countries that have come across our borders over the past 5 years illegally. This isn't about race. This isn't about prejudice. This is about people who come here seeking a better life because somebody said, you come here and it'll be better. And then a lot of them are subjected to abuse and they don't call the police. We're trying to intervene in that system. We're trying to stop the abuse. We're trying to stop the remittances sent back for the cartels because many of them that come owe and they pay. This isn't about whether they're good or bad people, although coming here illegally is breaking the law. This is about we're a nation of laws. We're a state that believes in the rule of law, and that is all this is about. And I really applaud the people that are doing all the good work here. But to think that somehow because you give somebody a bicycle that you would be inferred into providing transportation, that's just not so. Helping people is helping people. This does not go after people helping people. I don't know if Mr. Wold would like to.
Chairman Skog, members of the committee, I'll be brief just to answer a couple of the objections or concerns that were raised throughout testimony. And I'll just start real quickly. There was some chuckling about a citizen who testified about concerns related to the movement of people from the South, in particular southern what part of the Western Hemisphere into our country. And I just would encourage all members of the committee to review the study that was done by the Oversight Project. They tracked 30,000 anonymized mobile devices that were issued by non-governmental organizations near the southern border, and they traced those cell phones nationwide. In just January 2022, just that month alone, devices observed at these NGO-operated facilities were then seen in 431 of the 435 U.S. congressional districts in the country. The scale and the size of the movement being assisted and facilitated by NGOs was enormous. Second, the important part about the construction of this statute, I think, has been a bit misunderstood, and maybe that's on the drafters, but every subsection of this statute requires knowing or reckless disregard tied to facilitating unlawful presence, or in the case of transportation, conduct and furtherance of that unlawful presence. That doesn't sweep in all kinds of other conduct that was then mentioned here. So it doesn't require investigation before the provision of services open generally to members of the public, whether they're citizens or not. That means soup kitchen lines are safe. And it means that lawyers advocating for their clients aren't concealing anything. They're openly advocating for lawful solutions, and that isn't prohibited. There was a concern about the use of the word harboring. Harboring is a word used many times in Idaho code, at least 15 different statutes. And yes, courts can interpret it. Some courts, the 6th, 8th, 10th Circuit is split from the 9th, 7th, and 1st, but those rulings are more similar than they are different. All circuits require knowing, affirmative conduct tied to unlawful presence, not mere association. We've also heard from many, many Idahoans today who have affirmed their interest in penalizing organizations that are actively facilitating illegal immigration by harboring, transporting, concealing, or shielding illegal aliens knowingly or in reckless disregard. I urge the committee not to ignore them. And for those who have raised concerns, including members of our law enforcement or the legal community, I think we have answers. I think the bill itself as written has answers, but as Representative Hawkins offered, I think we're more than keen to adopt any changes that would satisfy their concerns. And if a member of the committee currently disagrees with the construction of this bill, I think it's as part of the transparency and the deliberation that you've conducted here, Chairman Skog, which I think is a great testament to the democracy we have in this state, I urge any member to really articulate what their issue is with the language, because if it's with the policy itself, then that's a separate question. But if it's with the way the structure and the construction of the statute would operate, then that's a matter that maybe Representative Hawkins and myself can solve. But either way, the people of Idaho deserve to know where the representatives stand on this issue. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee.
Yeah, excellent point there at the end. If you have a problem with the concept overall, the policy overall, we should know that. But if you're just nitpicking over the wording and things like that, please let us know so we can so that it can be addressed. So we're going to get into some of that here in a minute here, but let's set the stage here again, because once again you have what we're dealing with these immigration bills is a pattern developing among some of let's just put this out there. We know that all, if not most, of the Democrats are going to be against all of these bills. So that is already a set aside. So there's 3 Democrats on this committee. They're already against the policy. It's not about the wording. They're against the policy. So those 3 votes are already on the negative side. The other folks on the committee, the rest of the Republicans on the committee, we're starting to see a pattern develop among these bills dealing with illegal immigration. And as we have already noted, we have House Bill 704, House Bill 700 dealing with E-Verify. This would be to implement E-Verify across the board, mandatory E-Verify, where you are verifying the paperwork, you're verifying the immigration status of the employee, the potential employee that you're hiring against the federal database. And then House Bill 700, which would say if you knowingly hire an illegal, like let's say you do the E-Verify and it comes back illegal and you're like, you can still work here anyway. Or you don't do the E-Verify and you just keep hiring people and you knowingly hire someone who's illegal, that you're going to get penalized for it. When you knowingly break the law, you should get penalized for it. Heck, there are people out there that don't know that they broke a law. There's a famous book out there that's called 3 Felonies a Day, where the average person can go throughout their day and commit 3 felonies and have no idea that they did so. But you'd still be charged with a crime. So this is almost giving employers a carve out by saying if you knowingly break the law, right? We're like saying like if you knowingly do it, then you're going to be penalized. I wish we had that for all of us, because sometimes we have no idea what the law is when it comes to certain matters, especially in a highly regulated world. All right, that aside, like I said, those 2 bills, you're seeing a pattern develop among the Republicans joining Democrats in saying we reject these bills, and they're trying to find little nuances to reject the bill because they don't want to full out come out and say, oh no, we actually do want illegal immigration. So watch as this pattern develops here and the arguments that lay out. It's very important for you to see this. First, setting the stage here is Representative Barbara Ehart, who is for this type of legislation. Let's watch this.
To support the first motion, in listening to all this, I think the closing made a heck of a lot of sense. Are we concerned about language? Is there a problem with the crafting, or is it the policy? And right now, we have got a heck of a lot of people. I know in my own district, without getting off on this topic, we've got people that are struggling with their businesses, and feel like all of this is all tied together. We're a nation of laws. There is a legal process to get here. One of my best friends years ago from Canada, I was able to help her prepare to go take the test, and then to become to become a citizen through the proper channels. What an amazing experience that is. We offer that to everyone. As a matter of fact, when she was done, there are some things that she understood better about our Constitution than, just the average Idahoan, average American. And she was so proud of the fact that she had done what was necessary to become an American citizen. And I also, Mr. Chairman and good team, would hope that we'd keep this in mind. Becoming an American citizen is something special. We should strive for it. We should want it. And I don't think in any way some of the concerns that have been brought up that this is going to prohibit. I think really the concerns were more a matter of the fact that maybe they don't like concerns that so many of us have. And I would like to support the first motion, and let's see if there's language that we can fix. Then let's give it a chance.
Okay, yeah. So that first motion she's alluding to was the motion to send this bill to general orders at the request of the sponsor, Representative Hawkins, in order to adjust some more of the language that was brought up. Okay, great, perfect. We were all for that, all for moving things forward. In response to some of the things that Ehart said there, Democrat Representative Mathias wanted to build upon that. Let's listen to this and pay attention.
I want to point out why the words matter a lot. I'm looking at page 2,
sub 4. Representative Ehart just told us a story. A friend of hers was studying for a legally required test. The good lady knew she was here illegally, so you could argue that the good lady would have been in violation of the language that says it is illegal to provide legal assistance to an alien with reckless disregard.
Quiet while he's...
So that's why the words matter. And so I don't think sending it to general orders to fix some things that should have been fixed over the last 12 months is going to give us the release we need in order to get this ready for prime time. And that's why I think we should hold it and make it better.
Okay. Something that should have been caught 12 months ago and we can't fix it today, that argument falls flat too. But notice that he said that Representative Barbara Ehart was helping an illegal alien, which according to this bill, giving legal advice to an illegal alien would have been illegal. Representative Clay Handy, the Republican, seemed to catch wind of that as well and had these remarks.
I have one observation and feelings about this. I have a hard time trying to be hard and tighten up how we deal with illegal aliens when our border for the last 5 years has been wide open and they've been invited to come here. So I don't have any problem in the future maybe taking a look at this. But for present, I think we need to give more people more time to find their way forward. Knowing that they're illegal, there are a lot of them working to try and become legal. And I think we should challenge everyone in the room to find one of those kinds of people like Representative Earhart did and help them in the process. I counseled with a young man a few months ago about his love life with this girl, and then he was wanting to know how to close the deal, so to speak. And then at the end he said, I'm not a legal citizen yet. Well, there are people like that all over. They're right in the middle of their lives here in America, but they're not legal. And some of them have been there long enough, like you said, that they're wealthy, productive, tax-paying citizens. So I think we need to take a chill pill and see if we can't work a better plan.
Okay. Set aside, we may have to play that again and really break that down. That was an incredible set of comments there. So much to dig into with that one. Very interesting. But notice again, implying that all of us should take a cue from Representative Ehart, find an illegal alien and try to get them to become legal. Do you not understand? The whole point is you got to leave. And then you got to come back the right way, right? You got to leave and then you come back the right way, like everybody else who does it the right way. There's no carve outs just because you made it over here and you've been sneaking around and you've been he said becoming wealthy, having a love life and all of these things. Like, okay, that's great. Wonderful. But you're not doing it the right way. This is a nation of laws. We have borders. We have a huge welfare system in this country that we contribute to, and that our people are suffering because they can't take full benefit of it all. Because we have to raise taxes to cover all of this stuff. We raise taxes and generate more revenue so that we can cover all of the people joining the public school system that are here illegally or that are overcrowding the hospitals and emergency rooms, or that are causing accidents all over the road. Do you understand? Okay. Sorry for the tangent. But these accusations here that Representative Barbara Ehart is out there helping illegal aliens become citizens had to be corrected because let's watch this. This is a very short clip, so hopefully we get it right from the top.
Real quickly, Mr. Chairman, which I know you're going to allow me to just clarify, my friend was here on a green card. Just want to make sure that goes down. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So Representative Ehart was not helping illegal aliens. She's not. That was not her. She was helping somebody who was here on a legal status with a green card become a citizen. So all of those arguments from before are wiped out the window because this is all about concealing, harboring, and shielding aliens. Now, if we get back to the some serious points of this, like I said at the top, people who, if you're against the policy, then just be against the policy and come out for it. But most people would like to nitpick and try to figure out where in here they can find something that tells them, you know what, because of this one word or because of this one line, I have to throw out this entire bill. I can't support this because of that. And when the line is like a nuanced line or it's too general or whatever it is. Let's listen to Representative John Schertz, District 9, wheeled his way around the bill with some concerns.
It can get very complicated very quickly, and I think I agree that we need to make sure that we don't have any harboring or people moving around illegal immigrants in our state, 100%. But I just cannot, for the life of me, this statute I think is just it's just off, right? It's just off. I don't think it's I don't think it's where it needs to be right now to encapsulate what we were actually trying to accomplish. I think a couple examples of that. We talked about this harboring portion. There's not a definition of that in Idaho code that I could find sitting here. It doesn't go back, doesn't reference that. And when you actually read the bill, this references and says that this provision shall be interpreted consistent with 8 United States Code 1324. So we are saying, hey, federal government, we're now adopting your law. But the problem, and why I was thinking about that harboring portion, is what I brought up with our good presenters, is there's a circuit split. So the Ninth Circuit is different than a lot of the other parts of the country. So harboring is defined differently here in the Ninth Circuit where we are. What are we adopting? I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. I don't want to adopt anything the Ninth Circuit's doing at all. I don't. I practice in front of the Ninth Circuit. We do not want them in Idaho. We do not want them invading our sovereignty. I do not want this to be misconstrued that is against what the bill sponsors are. I know they're trying to thread a needle, and it's tough because you have some preemption issues here. But I think that's the difficulty where I am, where we have our good churches, we have our good sheriffs, good conservative people that I know and I greatly respect, are coming in here and saying, whoa, our objections have not been listened to. Or incorporated, I guess would be the better point. And that's what gives me some pause too. I just think there's a lot of moving parts here that have not been fleshed out. With that, I'll support the motion to hold it. But that's just some of my thoughts on where we are, being in full support of what we're doing on immigration as we have passed earlier this week and last week on a lot of different bills that I would fully supportive of. But I think we have to be careful with how we do this, just because the federal courts could toss something like this out if we don't do it right. Thank you.
I'm calling BS on this. I'm calling BS on this. This is if you're knowingly concealing, harboring, shielding illegal aliens. If you're knowingly doing that, who has a problem with that? If you knowingly do that, you have to prove that someone knowingly is doing that. And with this, and with respect to the harboring language, Representative Clint Hostetler had an answer for that. Let's watch that.
The sponsor of the bill did a great job. He's been working on this for a long time, went back, got it right. All the issues that were majorly concerns from our testifiers were addressed, and they are not issues within the language of this bill. And he is being gracious enough to work with the sheriffs to dial that in, and I think he is owed that opportunity to dial in the language, because pretty much everything's now being addressed. We're coming in alignment with federal law. And just for reference, harboring is in 3 sections of code in Idaho: 1825-08, 1856-08, and then we've got 18623. So there is precedent here in most of this, and I'm going to say let's give it a shot to get this right.
The harboring thing was bizarre to me, because he was specifically saying we don't have a definition of what harboring is. Yet it is throughout Idaho code, even more so than the things that were said here. There is under Title 18, Chapter 6, under abortion trafficking. It says here, Idaho code, an adult who, with the intent to conceal an abortion from the parents or guardian of a pregnant emancipated minor, or obtains abortion-inducing drugs for the pregnant minor to use for an abortion by recruiting, harboring, or transporting the pregnant minor within the state, commits the crime of abortion trafficking. So harboring is in there, and this statute does not have a definition for harboring. It also doesn't have a definition for recruiting. It also doesn't have a definition for obtain. So I mean, we don't include in our statutes the entire Merriam-Webster dictionary. Okay, there is a word for harboring. Okay, and it's not just pulling a ship into harbor. All right. It's to conceal somebody doing an illegal activity. The Health and Safety, Chapter 53 of Title 39, which actually has a bunch of definitions for this particular statute, but under the definition of human trafficking, in this particular, this is about adult abuse, neglect, and the Exploitation Act. Under human trafficking, it says human trafficking means the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose or subjection to involuntary servitude, debt, bondage, slavery, and so forth. So under human trafficking, harboring is an acceptable word. And then under human trafficking, under the Title 18, Chapter 86 of human trafficking, there's safe harbor provisions where you're harboring for safety reasons a minor victim. So that is there as well, in a positive sense for the state to do. Title 18, Chapter 2, Persons Liable, Principles, and Accessories. It says here, subsection 2, harbor and protect a person who committed such felony or who has been charged with or convicted of. So all persons who are accessories having knowledge that a felony has been committed. Okay? So when you are trying to find an accessory to these things, to felonies that have been committed, it includes all persons who harbor and protect a person who committed a felony. You're an accessory. So some of these things are already out there. So these cherry picking these little tiny little moments and little words within these statutes in order to not pass a completely reasonable bill is absurd. Absolutely absurd. Well, folks, the bill died 9-7. Like I said, the 3 Democrats voted against the bill, and we have 6 others here who voted against the bill. You have Representative John Schertz, Dan Garner, Clay Handy, Marco Erickson, Mike Pohanka, and newly sworn in Representative Grayson Stone out of Twin Falls, who we don't have a picture for yet. But these are the 6 folks who voted not to penalize the harboring of illegal aliens. They voted against this bill. In this climate, these are the people that don't know what time it is. You don't like something in here, come back next year and try and modify it. But we are up against the clock, folks. We are up against the clock. I don't understand it. All right, I'm going to give myself a moment to calm down here. And if you need a bit of a break, well, In the Know Idaho is what we need at this moment. So Lily Allman has her own perspective on this illegal immigration topic. So we're going to take a look at that. We'll take a look at that first, then we'll take a break, and then we'll be back with Brian Allman right after this. Enjoy.
I think we can all agree that deporting illegal aliens from American soil is a top priority, unless you're a major employer in Idaho. We're so dependent on illegal labor that asking for proof of citizenship would literally topple the entire economy. And I don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, I think it's a good business model. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How dare you accuse us of hiring thousands and thousands of illegal aliens who probably have to steal someone's identity just to show up to work every day? And even if we were doing something like that, what's so wrong with it? The unauthorized workforce has been officially authorized to steal your job. Hope you don't mind. Will I look at your resume? That depends. Do you speak Spanish? Como se dice? We've decided to go a different direction. Let's keep our money in the local economy by hiring guys who will send their paychecks to their families in Guatemala. This isn't a slap in the face to every small business owner who actually has to follow the law because they don't have friends in high places or fancy suits. End of joke. We're really going to need everybody to cut us some slack because our shareholders would like to buy some new yachts, and prioritizing the American worker isn't going to help us get there any faster. You seem like a reasonable person. I'm sure you understand. It's really just too impractical to try to address this at a state level. So let's let the federal government do what they do best and solve our problems in a favorable and timely manner. They never let me down. We really just believe in limited government. So let's limit the government to protecting invaders and their employers as the founding fathers intended. You're kidding yourselves if you think that your lives haven't been touched in some way by illegal aliens serving you in entry-level jobs. And you're kidding yourselves if you can justify anything that I just said. It's literally impossible for me to operate my large business without breaking the law. So the least you could do is change the rules and absolve me of any guilt in the matter. And I don't want to be fined. And I'd like a nice coffee. But of course, we're fully behind deporting criminal illegal aliens. Thank goodness it's not a crime to enter the United States illegally, or we'd be in big trouble.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among a world silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear. We govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together.
Hi, Matt. This is Tricia from Burley, District 27. I don't know if you've spoken about this bill. There's an interesting one that's been proposed by my representative, Doug Pickett. And I haven't watched all of your episodes, so maybe you have, but I wanted to mention it anyway. It's H664, and he's proposing to get rid of differential speed limits throughout Idaho. I don't know if you guys have any highways up north where trucks go slower than cars, but the interstate down here does. Currently, it's 80 for cars and 70 for trucks. And his point is having differential speeds causes more accidents, so he wants to make it all the same, but he is not addressing the speed limit itself. And many trucks will not go 80, and they said that in committee that they won't do that. Many are governed at 60 or 70, so the bill is not really going to solve that. But also, during my research, I see that higher speeds lead to more fatalities. So for the few trucks that will go 80, you're risking more fatalities. So it's my opinion that he's kind of being irresponsible in getting rid of differential speed limits and not addressing the speed limit itself. I personally don't like driving 80. You're in a higher state of stress. My dad is a truck driver. He loves driving in Oregon now because it's 70, 65. He just feels like everybody's more calm. It's easier to navigate when the speed limit's a little less. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, so thanks, Matt, for all that you do. Love your show, and talk to you soon.
Well, thank you, Trisha from Burley, for leaving that message. See, there's a lot of bills out there that pique people's interest that we weren't really paying attention of. So, no, we haven't covered House Bill 664. It did pass the House 57-11. And that was back on, that was yesterday, March 3rd, just yesterday. It passed the House 57-11, and it heads to the Senate. So I encourage you to get the, what do you call it? The Senate to listen to your comments. So that'd be great. If you want to leave your message, 208-402-4915 is the number to dial and get your voice on the air. We have some other voicemails in the queue. We'll play those as we can. But thank you, Trisha, for calling in. Very, very important. And some great points. You brought up some great points. I don't know if those were argued. Like I said, we didn't watch the bill, so but we'll definitely keep tabs on it for you as it moves through the Senate. Very good. Why did I have to look over at this screen right now? You look a lot like Kenny Rogers. You know, I'll take that as a compliment. I think Kenny Rogers, the gambler, is a fine-looking man. So hopefully it's in his better years because I think he's gotten a lot of plastic surgery since then, which I have not and certainly don't ever plan on getting. Okay, let's bring another fair gentleman into the room. Brian Allman joins us. Brian, good to see you, my friend. I am just ticked off by this House Bill 764. You saw a lot of the arguments for and against on this, and I don't know how much of the hearing in full you watched yesterday, but you know, I'm just, the phrase always keeps coming to my head. People just don't know what time it is. And when you have a bill like this that is trying to crack down on illegal immigration and trying to find where the problem points are, where the pain points are, and addressing those in the state, we just keep hearing that, oh no, it's not our responsibility, it's the Fed's responsibility. What do you make of all this? Oh, we don't have your audio. There we go.
Yeah, you're right. It is incredibly frustrating. I think personally, I think illegal immigration is the biggest issue that we need to be handling. Was one of the issues that President Trump ran on, not only in 2024, but all the way back in 2016. That was one of the subjects of his first speech when he came down the escalator. Polls show that a lot of voters think it's an important issue to address. Yet we have multiple factions that are fighting against it. You have obviously the big ag labor lobbies that want their supply of cheap labor. They don't want to have to deal with the real labor market in Idaho, so they go outside to other countries to try and disrupt it. And if those people end up being illegal aliens, well, that's the federal government's fault. And then you have, of course, the Democrats. They see the potential for future voters who will support their agenda because they increasingly lose touch with American citizens. And then you have others who just, for whatever reason, they don't want to address it. Obviously, you have the NGOs, all those people who testified. They seem to have this idea that any enforcement of illegal immigration or immigration laws is it's either racist or it's just wrong in some way. No human being is illegal on stolen land. You might hear some of them say. I guess the biggest frustration is with the law enforcement. I would think they would be really enthusiastically trying to help make this possible to make it more possible to enforce the law rather than throwing up roadblocks when people like Representative Hawkins are trying to make the law stronger here. But instead, they're testifying against it, saying, it could stop them from doing their investigations. And even when the sponsor was saying that they'll work with them and try and get it figured out, they just come out in force, in uniform, and testify against it.
Yeah, which is it's very frustrating to see. And, I mean, I guess I will give Representative Schertz a little bit of credit, because I do believe he did vote for the E-Verify bill. He voted for House Bill 700, which I guess we'll have to go back and check that. I don't want to overstep the bounds here, but this, I felt his argument on this bill was very weak, especially when you pointed out again that the sponsors were willing to work on this one, and this is the underbelly of the movement and the trafficking of illegal aliens is through these NGOs. We know at a high level through the what was it, the USAID, like that. I mean, what they uncovered there with the amount of NGOs and the movement of migrants around the world, not just our country. This is a big deal, and it feels like to me that it could be a bigger deal to handle in the state of Idaho. We didn't play the clip, but Representative John Gannon said his concern was that there was no fiscal note attached to this, this wasn't going to cost the state any money to enforce. And I don't know what numbers he's seeing, but he was like, this if we're looking at like Texas style numbers, this could cost us, millions and millions of dollars to enforce the law and arrest all these people that the NGOs are cycling through, and the NGO people themselves. So I don't know what he's looking at, what he's seeing. Obviously, when to those points, Theo Wold got up and said, it's not going to cost any more than it does now for the police to enforce the law. They're just enforcing the law. So,
I mean, how whether or not there should be a fiscal note, I don't know. There's going to be a statue of Representative Gannon somewhere, and on it will be engraved. I have a problem with fiscal note. But yeah, it's the question of enforcing the law should not be, well, do we have enough money to enforce the law?
Right.
If we need more resources, then let's have that debate. But to even just say, well, we can't do this because it'll cost money. A lot of things cost money. The government does a lot of things that it shouldn't, that cost money. And, talking about the scope of the problem, a couple of years ago, there was a woman who worked in the Trump administration, previously worked in the Trump administration, named Paige Willey. She did a series of podcasts. And several of them were about the illegal immigration issue under President Biden, where you had that open border and people were just crossing, whether they were even being interviewed or vetted or whatever. Some of them were, some of them weren't. And she revealed how there were these NGOs that would pick people up, say that, okay, this child has a sponsor in some place in Middle America, fly them out on a plane, and then they'd go to work in some meatpacking plant, essentially, child slaves, and who knows what else would happen to them. And it was all done under the cover of compassion and of letting people in for a better life. And also, there's this very gray line between an illegal alien, somebody who is here without any authorization at all, people who've claimed asylum, and their court date to determine whether that's claim is legitimate is, months or even years off. People who claim to be refugees, which is a completely different thing. And of course, we know we have this this big mega NGO in Idaho named Janus that is almost 100% dedicated to bringing refugees here and then getting them on the public dole. So it's a massive problem. And, even these little efforts to chip away at just the low-hanging fruit of going after people who knowingly facilitate illegal migration, it has all these roadblocks, and that is frustrating.
It's very frustrating, and the whole point here, folks, the reason why we're on the air, the reason why we created the show, the reason why we have you tune in, and which is great. We have a nice big fat live audience right now, folks. Call your representatives. Call your senators. These 6 in particular are the ones that just voted against penalizing the harboring of illegal aliens. Representative John Schertz, Dan Garner, Clay Handy, Pohanka, Erickson, and Grayson Stone. Most of these guys are on the east. Let me see. I got my little trusty little book here. And John Schertz is over there in Payette, Washington, Canyon counties. You got Garner. This is not alphabetized. This is all done by the.
Well, Representative Pohanka is out in Blaine County, Jerome County, Lincoln County, so kind of the central there.
Yes.
Representative Church is the southwest corner, which is very rural. Representative Erickson out from Idaho Falls, and then Garner and Handy are both out there in southeastern Idaho as well. Lots of rural areas, lots of ag. I think Big Ag is very influential in all of their districts.
Yeah, very, very much so, and it's evident in their voting. And so this is the conundrum that we're seeing across the country here is our traditional style Republican farmers and ranchers who have unfortunately, because of we all didn't want to get in this mess. You know, we talked about it earlier with NAFTA and shipping jobs overseas and closing down manufacturing plants and family farms being eaten up by conglomerates and so forth. And that the hunger for cheap labor, the hunger for open borders, and so we have this, you know, overfilling and abundance of workers that you could choose from. Oh, this guy will work for $4 a day. This guy will work for $3 a day if they were in their home country. And now you can just lavish them with like higher wages, but still lower and undercutting American wages. So it's a conundrum that we've done it to ourselves, and we have to fix it, because what is happening with guys like William Mostoller, when he talks about his construction company, where he's got guys who can't work because he's seeing his company being outbid by other construction companies and other contractors that have hired illegal aliens that can come in and have a different undercut the bid because they can pay it cheaper. Yeah, there he is testifying for House Bill 704. He actually testified yesterday remotely on House Bill 764. And now he's because of all this, because of his frustration, he's now running. He's put his hat in the ring. We're going to hopefully get him on live and talk to him, but he's put his hat in the ring to run against Representative Steve Miller out there in District 25, I believe it is, 24. And so this is a big issue, and we're trying to fix it, Brian. We're just trying to fix it. We had Representative Dale Hawkins potentially hoping to join us before we get off the air. So if we do, we'll bring him in here. But I don't know, Brian. I look at the tally, even in that committee, that if John Schurz stayed true to his other votes on these illegal immigration bills, that this would have gone to an 8-8 tie, which means the motion would have failed, and then they would have gone to the original motion, which would be to send it to general orders, which might have failed as well on an 8-8 tie. So
that was a tough committee.
Yeah.
Because of that, you know, the rural representation, the big ag influences. And yeah, definitely call those legislators and tell them what you think of their votes, respectfully, of course. But that bill is dead for this year. Hopefully it can come back again next year, continue to work with it, hopefully get law enforcement on board instead of opposing it. But in the meantime, those 700 and 704, the holding employers accountable for hiring illegals and also requiring them to use E-Verify, that is in the Senate. That's in Senate State Affairs. So we still have an opportunity to get that one through. It's also a tough committee. But it's possible if they get enough respectful requests to pass that bill along to the Senate floor, then maybe it will just happen, and maybe we can actually start moving the ball on this immigration issue. It's a tough sell because you've got Democrats who oppose any immigration enforcement because they see future voters, they see political power, they don't like the idea of borders apparently. But then you have Republicans who are wedded to this idea of migrant labor. Trying to fill out all these industries, and so yeah, it's a tough hill to climb, but we need to climb it. It's an important issue. It's it's for our economy. Do we have opportunities for young people to go work on places like farms and dairies, or do you have to speak Spanish in order to work those jobs now? Are we going to have a culture? The more foreign workers we import, how much? What's that going to do to the culture of our communities? It's going to change it. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's you can debate that, but it will be a change, and that should be something we're allowed to have a conversation about.
Absolutely. And folks, we just put in the chat, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, we just put in the chat the link Hopefully you can either click it or copy and paste it. If you did that, it'll open up your email and help you compose a letter, an email to the Senate State Affairs Committee, just simply respectfully requesting a hearing on 704 and 700. We need to make sure they hear from you, and we've been getting there it is. It just pops up. It's great. You click that, it pops open your email, whatever email you use, and then you can just fire it away. Just be sure to replace the parts that say your name in town with your actual name in town, so that way they know it's coming from you. But it will come from your email address, not our email address. So let's just flood their inboxes with this email. There's plenty of other folks out there. I know Allman had some good tips on how to send these out there as well. But right now, right in the comments section, right here on Facebook, right here on YouTube, I don't know if we put it in the chat box to send it everywhere. I don't know where else it goes, but that's the thing. You can also scan the QR code. If you're sitting at home watching this on your television, just pull out your phone and scan that QR code in the corner, and it'll open up an email, and it sends a respectful email to the Senate State Affairs Committee, Chairman Guthrie, and everybody else on that committee to say, hey, please allow these bills to have a hearing, and allow the senators to debate this. I mean, the fact that these bills get sent over to another chamber and then they just die. I mean, we've highlighted on this broadcast at the beginning of this particular year, every year, we've highlighted how bills will move across the rotunda, as they say, to the other chamber and just die because they don't want to hear it. And what did we have to do? We had to rally the people. It happened with the mask mandate bill, trying to make sure that there was no more mask mandates. And we had to pound the pavement, going out there, getting signatures. You know, I went to the Capitol twice with a stack of signatures on petitions to bring to the Senate side to say, hear the bill on banning masks, and we finally got it done. So we'll continue to do it. We're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. And once you realize after this next election what happens when you don't give us your vote, we're going to take your seat, and we're going to find somebody who's willing to step up to the plate and do the right thing for the good folks of Idaho. All right, Brian, we are going to we wanted to talk a little bit about the Idaho Digital Learning Academy, or what did Elaine Price call it? She also called it the Idaho Digital Learning Alliance, the Idaho. She had so many different names for it, but
yeah, IDLA. When I was doing my research for an article a few months ago, I found that it's both. It's the Idaho Digital Learning Academy and the Idaho Digital Learning Alliance. It's used almost interchangeably on their website.
It's fascinating, and basically she presents a bill to repeal it. And we'll probably have to cover that more later this week, because it does spark a lot of questions. The main thing, of course, so the big problem with it now is that urban schools are allowing students do digital learning, which is supposed to be for remote, take these classes remotely, but they're in school taking a remote class, and the school districts are getting paid twice for that child to take those classes. So it's she's just trying to do her job, trying to find, if we got rid of this, it would save $25 million in the budget. So we'll cover more of that as it gets going. I believe it did get printed, so we'll definitely have a hearing on it. So maybe we'll wait until that happens. I think it got printed. Am I wrong on that? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Brian, what are you working on? Where can people follow you?
At Brian Ullman on X. GemStateChronicle.com. I wrote a fun little article yesterday. I don't know if fun is in the eye of the beholder here. Doing a deep dive into the JFAC budgeting process, looking at how the maintenance and enhancement budget processes work. So go check that out. Let the budgets hit the floor.
Let the budgets hit the floor. I love it, man. All right, Brian. Good to see you, my friend. We'll check back with you tomorrow. Take care. All right, folks. Like I said, we'll cover a lot what was happening with some of these other bills that are going on. The changing the speed limit one, that's fascinating too. I never really I had skipped our radar, but that's what you folks are out there for. Thank you so much for calling. And folks, we want more of those phone calls. So let's throw up that number again, 208-402-4915 to leave your message. And we'll send it out across the land. Folks, if you're on YouTube, we might have hit, we were just a few dozen shy of 8,000 subscribers. I cannot believe the growth of this program and the scope that we're just reaching. It's fantastic. I appreciate the support. Everybody here, the whole team is just so thrilled to see you guys take to the stuff that we're throwing out there, because this is all for us. It's for our kids. It's for you. It's all of us. We ride together, and we can't get through this without you guys. I mean, the establishment, the establishment out there, they're getting rocked. They don't know what to do. They're regrouping. They're maneuvering. They're trying to figure out how they can take back control and all this stuff. But folks, we're not quite at the point where we have like total control yet. And so every day counts, every moment counts. But I'm very optimistic. Things are looking very good. And but they don't know how to handle it. We pivot this way, they try to cut us off there. We pivot this way, we try to cut us off there, and so we just have to stay united. And for the most part, we are. And so that's great to hear. All right, folks, we will check back in with you tomorrow, same time, same bat channel, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And we'll see you on March 5th. Take care.
True. Idaho proud. Red, white, blue. Idaho proud. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue.
I think it puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.